Hi, folks. Steve Urban here, founder and CEO at recruiting firm Riderflex. If you enjoyed today's guest interview, please give it a like and be sure to subscribe to the Riderflex podcast. And now, a quick word from our sponsor.
Try the #1 marketing platform for small business. Everything you need from design to marketing to CRM. Learn more at marketing360.com. Marketing 360. Fuel your brand.
Kevin Miller on the Riderflex podcast. Hi, Kevin. How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, Steve. How are you?
Good. Are you in LA, California?
Yep.
Are you? Is it as bad as they say with the exodus? Everybody's leaving, or that's just the news that we see in other states, and it's really just fine? I don't know. What's real?
I think a few people have left. I think those people are also coming back now. I think the places that people left and won't go back to are San Francisco and New York. I see that a lot. I hear that a lot. Anecdotally, I know that through friends who have done that. They're going to Miami. That's the place to be.
Oh, is it? I thought Texas was the hotbed right now. I don't know.
Either one, but I think they're equal.
Okay, but you're cool. You love LA. You like California?
Yeah, I do. I actually get to go back to Florida a lot because my parents live there, and my brother's there with his wife and his 2 kids, and I've got sisters on the East Coast. So I get my fill of Florida.
So I saw you went to school in Georgetown, but you're from the Southeast then. You're from okay. So you went to high school in Florida?
Yep.
In Miami?
No, in a town called Port Orange. I grew up in Daytona Beach. Port Orange is just down the road.
Gotcha. All right. So what'd you say? How many siblings?
I have 3 others, so 4 total.
Wow. All right. And mom and dad still married, still live in Florida?
Still married, still living in Florida, going strong, about 40 years of marriage.
How about that? Congrats to them. I mean, that is not easy to do.
No, not common these days, but I'm happy for them.
What'd your folks do?
My dad used to be the CEO of Budget Rent-A-Car.
Oh, is that right? Okay, so
Yeah.
he was an executive. Okay, great. Budget Rent-A-Car.
Yep.
All right.
He's got a very unique and interesting entrepreneurial story because he didn't grow up with any money. He's all self-made. So he has got a cool story. My mom was working actually in car rental as well. She actually introduced him to that whole industry, which is the funniest part. When they were 22. And then she has been a homemaker for years. She raised 4 kids. 2 of them are twins. I'm one of those 2. And has been our caretaker for life.
Well, that's wonderful. That's great. Hey, raising 4 kids is a super tough job.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Was your dad pretty, most CEOs are pretty type A, pretty driven, pretty demanding characters. Is that him, or was he a softie?
Yeah, I mean, no, he was a hard ass when it came to work. That's for sure. He's become a softie over recent years. So as he's gotten older, he's becoming a lot softer. But he's not your conventional CEO. I think he's just a big dreamer and has ideas of how things should go and goes out and gets it. He's definitely a guy that's never seen any limits. Like whenever I talk to him about work, he just wants to know why not bigger, faster, stronger,
What kind of kid were you, Kevin? Were you the good kid, the bad kid, the rebel, somewhere in the middle? Where were you in there?
Somewhere in the middle. Yeah.
All right.
I followed the rules. I respected my parents. I still do. But around the time of high school, I became very rebellious, going out, drinking, partying, those types of things.
Yeah.
Wanted to go experience life on my own, see what it was like to make my own decisions, So I got a taste of that, and it became very fulfilling to be able to live that type of lifestyle. But yeah, I was definitely in the middle, I'm not causing too much trouble, but I like flirting with it.
Did you move out of your parents' house before you went to college, or nothing that drastic?
No, nothing that drastic. No.
Oh, okay. All right. Did you get arrested or anything? Anything fun in there? Anything you want to tell us about?
No, I escaped that, man. Been pulled over many times. Been had a lot of issues like that, but never actually made it. to get arrested. I'm pretty good at getting away with stuff.
Yeah, I read that in your profile. Isn't it interesting, Kevin? I'm 55. I have told many friends this, because I'll talk to guys my age, and a lot of guys my age, some of them have a DUI somewhere in their past or whatever, in their 20s or whatever. Man, I have just gotten lucky. I just tell them, I'm like, look, here's the difference between me and you.
Yeah.
I got lucky and you didn't. I mean, we're the same.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Sometimes it just happens, it just, you get the short end of the stick sometimes, but you might be doing the same behavior as the guy next to you.
No doubt about it. So, okay. So average kid, so to speak, for the most part.
I was obsessed with basketball. I wanted to be in the NBA.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you were you a starter on your high school team?
Yeah.
All right. Good enough to go to college, or good enough to play in college? No. Okay.
No, and definitely not at Georgetown. So that was a big, like letdown for me. That's all I really cared about when I was in high school. I really, really was interested in that, but really? I couldn't make it work for one reason or another, and then, but that was a big thing for me to get over. It was difficult for me to deal with.
Did you apply to a bunch of Division III, Division II schools to play?
No, because I didn't want to go do that. I wanted to either go to a great academic school. I kind of made peace with it, and I just decided, yeah, I'm not going to go do that.
Well, your grades must have been pretty good to get into Georgetown.
Yeah, they were good. Okay. Yeah, I did the IB program in high school, and that was really hard. Hardest thing I've ever done. That actually taught me hard work, because I was literally doing homework, classes all day, at night, weekends, and I was playing basketball 24/7. So that's when I first got used to like the grind that people talk about.
Right. Yeah.
There was no time to hang out. There was no time to relax, really. I was work, and that was it.
When you went to Georgetown, I mean, that area, for the listeners, the DC area. Yeah. That is a culture shock from Daytona, right?
Oh my God. That was the biggest, that was the hardest thing for me. The people. My dad was very successful. We grew up with money, but we were treated and raised in a way where it wasn't like, there was zero entitlement. There was no, I'm sure my parents could have afforded nicer stuff, but they always remained very humble. And in the area that I was in, I knew some kids that were well off, but it was a different level of well off. I'll give you an example. My college roommate freshman year, his grandfather invented 7-Up. So it's generationally changing wealth. I went to, my classmate was Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter. So you're talking like famous legacy people, heritages and bloodlines that you read about. Those were my classmates. And so that was a big culture shock, because it was a level of wealth even I had never experienced, and I grew up very privileged. But then the weather was a big issue as well, because I didn't know I didn't see snow till I was at least 16. So I didn't know what it was going to be like, but it was brutal for me, adjusting to that. And then, just the way people behave, a lot of kids are from Greenwich, Connecticut, and Nantucket. I never knew how to get along with people like that, or like, I didn't know what to talk about. And also they were really, really smart. These kids had the best education you could imagine. And I had a good education, but it was always public school education.
Yes.
These kids were going to like Lawrenceville, big, Del Barton. These are like, private schools that you pay $50,000, $60,000 a year to go to as a high schooler, and they're out of the home after 8th grade, which is shocking. You're not even, a teenager yet, and you're not even going home to your parents. You're on your own. So it was a big difference, but it taught me a lot. I think I was basically thrust into, this world of trying to figure out how to navigate. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Your people.
Best way to learn.
Were sharpened even more. Yeah, your communication, your people skills, the ability to navigate in different groups, styles, personalities.
100%.
You're so right. The North, and I will give it. I'm not a Northeast fan as far as like wanting to live there, because I did live in Connecticut for a few years.
Okay,
but and I worked in Upper Metro New York for a while. but I grew up in Oklahoma and my wife grew up in Texas. And you're right. I mean, the education level of high school kids compared to anything where I'm from, it was not even close. I mean, yeah, super educated high school kids, just like you said, out of the house at 8th grade. I mean, education in general in the Northeast is a much bigger deal than it is where I grew up.
Yeah.
Where I grew up in Oklahoma, it was like, oh, if you played football, you were cool.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, that's that my definition of cool had to change.
Yeah. Right.
People started talking about politics, and the state of the world. You would get knocked out if you did that in Florida. Like they would be like, who are you?
Right.
That type of conversation wouldn't be entertained. I'll never forget that. I remember that like it was yesterday.
I agree. And it's still very much like that today. So, okay. So you're going to Georgetown. Did you know what you wanted to do? I mean, I know you majored in marketing and business, but did you know you wanted to be an entrepreneur? Or were you just, hey, I'm just having fun, getting my education, chasing girls, doing whatever?
Yeah.
Or what was the plan?
I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur because I knew I saw through my dad, he had freedom of time, which means like he was able to come to my baseball games at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I was like, wow, that's interesting. How is he able to do that? Oh, because, there's no one he reports to, so he's allowed to do that. So I was interested in that. And then I was interested, of course, in the financial freedom. There's a lot of pros and cons with entrepreneurship, but being able to have, a direct impact on how much money you make and not be beholden to someone else telling you, hey, you're worthy of a raise or this or that. That's helpful too. Cause I'm able to, if I don't make the money I want, that's on me and I can accept it way better than, if I didn't make it because my manager didn't give it to me and I live in resentment and this and that. So I knew that I wanted to be some form of entrepreneur, but I didn't know it was going to be this.
Okay. I don't want to go too far forward, but now that you've experienced the freedom of being an entrepreneur versus what you thought it was going to be when you were a college kid, isn't it even so much more rewarding than you even thought it would be to have that freedom? It is. Yeah.
Especially as I go into adulthood further, I'm single. I'm not married. I don't have kids. If I was married and I have kids, I think I'd even be more rewarding because I'd be able to spend more time with them and do things like that. Go ahead.
I just had a phone call yesterday with a firm in Europe that was interested in us. Our day job at Riderflex is a recruiting firm, right? And so we're getting big enough now to where we get phone calls every once in a while about an M&A or whatever. And this guy's talking to me and he's like, yeah, we can buy Riderflex and then you can work under our brand and blah, 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 and la, 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 la. And I'm just thinking, bro, I'm not, you probably couldn't give me enough money to be an employee again. I don't even know. I don't even know what the number is.
Yeah.
Because it's just so hard to put a number on the value of the freedom that that entrepreneurship brings. In my opinion, it's just, my wife and I were just having lunch today. She's like, hey, let's go to the mountains. Because I live in Colorado. She's like, hey, let's go to the mountains on this day and let's do this and this and this. And like, I don't have to call anybody and ask them.
Yeah, exactly. I know that's the best part.
Right. Okay. Part. So you wanted to be an entrepreneur. Okay. So you finish up school, walk us through, you don't have to hit every stage because I want to, get into grow pretty soon, but walk us through some of your early career, some of the things. I know you were at Google and some other places. Walk us through a few things, your early career progression.
Well, at Georgetown, everyone was going to Wall Street or doing Wall Street internships. And I knew that wasn't for me. I couldn't sit through accounting classes. I couldn't sit through finance classes. Wasn't interesting to me at all. And I'm not a stranger to working hard, but I didn't want to be working all nights and weekends. I wanted, and that's when I started learning about tech companies, Okay. So my first internship was at Living Social in Washington, D.C. And that was a really popular tech company, just like Groupon back then.
Yes, I remember.
I used that and I was able to get a internship at a venture capital fund in San Francisco. And that changed my life.
That's how you got to California.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I moved to San Francisco to work for a company called True Ventures. They're still one of the best venture firms in the world. They take 12 kids a year
Oh,
from across the
wow.
country.
That was
Somehow,
a big win. That was a big win for you right there. Huge.
some way, I got that internship.
Very nice. Congratulations.
And thank you. And so I got to go and work at a startup in San Francisco and spend my whole summer playing basketball and,
Cool.
hanging out, going out, partying, all that.
Nice.
And it was fully immersive and it was incredible. So
you were all in. You're like,
yeah,
this is it.
This is it. I was so infatuated with it. I can't even describe it to you. Like it gave me a sense of fulfillment that I was unmatched,
Okay, cool.
And
Very
it
cool.
was like that quest of like, where will this go? Will I start a company? Will I work at, Google? Will I work at Airbnb? Will I, what can I do here? This is where I'm walking on the same streets where I'm listening to podcasts of like the Uber founder was here. The founder of every major company that I use, they live in that city.
Yes.
And so it was really inspiring. I think that's
Cool.
the best word.
Yeah, very cool.
So that was that. And then, but around this time, I started to use drugs recreationally. So,
Okay.
I started to.
Can you share do you want to go into what kind? Were you talking coke, heroin, something huge?
Yeah, Oxycontin.
Okay, Oxy.
Yeah,
All right.
Oxycontin and Xanax. And so that started when I was in high school. It followed me to college. And, it helped me work hard and play harder. You know what I mean? And so I was doing that all through the end of high school into college. And then, when I got to San Francisco, so it never left. And it wasn't always a day-to-day thing, but it was definitely like a weekend to weekend thing.
Anything harder? Did you dip into harder stuff occasionally, or that was the main thing?
I've done heroin. I've done
it all. Done just about everything.
Yeah. Cocaine, everything. I just didn't like psychedelics, anything that like you can have a bad trip on. I don't like that.
Man, I got a friend that keeps trying to get me to do mushrooms. He considers himself a professional. He's like, come travel with me. And I'm like, bro, I don't know. I don't want to go somewhere where somebody has to like watch over me.
A lot of professionals in business do that. They microdose mushrooms. They say it gives them all these benefits. I don't know. It's not.
I don't know.
Not for me to explore, but I know some people do it, but it's not for me. But
not for me. Yeah.
So then, I mean, I was like, what you'll find in addicts and alcoholics is that they're usually highly intelligent or highly skilled.
Yes.
Like,
and very aggressive and very competitive.
Yeah. Like one of my good friends, this guy named Perry, he just passed away last week from these drugs. And and he was one of the world's largest art dealers in the world. He knew Gianni Versace personally. And
what did he overdose on?
I believe fentanyl, which is like a harder version of heroin.
Yeah.
And so
isn't fentanyl killing more people in the United States right now than anything else, and nobody talks about it hardly?
I know 3 people who've died from it in the last 30 days.
Yeah. I heard somebody the other day say fentanyl killed more people last year than COVID and
it absolutely
and like 5 other things combined, and nobody cares. Nobody talks about it.
You can take a little bit and you just be dead.
Is that because people dying because they don't know how to dose it properly?
It's nearly impossible to dose properly because literally just a little bit of powder is too much.
I see.
Like enough powder that's less than, just a little, your fingernail is.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. Now, okay. So you were, all right. So you had friends and you were going, I stopped you in your flow there.
Yeah. So so that was kind of holding me back, but I didn't realize it, I got sober on March 1st, 2016. So it's been about close to 6.5 years now.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Congratulations. Yeah. Are you when you say sober, you have to educate me. I'm a little ignorant on this. Does that mean you can't have a drink too? Like nothing, like everything's out?
Yeah. No, you can smoke, you can have nicotine.
Okay.
But you cannot smoke.
No cannabis? No cannabis?
No. No alcohol, nothing. So
no alcohol. Oh man. No. Cigarettes only.
Cigarettes only. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Yeah. No, nothing mind altering. That's the definition. Nothing.
Is that how I see? Okay. See, I'm ignorant. I didn't know how that worked. Okay. So nothing mind altering. I got you.
Technically, nicotine isn't mind altering. Yeah.
I see. Okay. So 2016, how long were you in rehab?
So I actually didn't go to rehab. I
how'd you do it?
detoxed myself.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't really know anyone I didn't know anyone in that area in San Francisco that had ever gone to rehab or was dealt with addiction or anything like that. I didn't know what resources I had available to me. So I actually just dealt with it in my house. And
Really?
yeah,
By
I was
yourself?
like,
By yourself?
yeah, I was like sweating out I finally realized what a withdrawal was because when I didn't have the pills, I started sweating. And when I went to sleep at night, I would wake up in a pool of sweat. So
How old were you?
24
24. And where were you working at the time?
at Google.
You were working at Google.
Yeah, I was working at Google.
I'm sorry. And so you're working at Google. So, and you were doing other stuff besides the oxy. I mean,
Yeah.
was
mainly-
alcohol super heavy or no?
Not super heavy, but I was drinking, smoking weed, Oxycontin and Xanax. Those were the four things.
Okay. What
but
was
they
the trigger
just-
point? What was the turning point? What was the tipping point?
I mean, I had been held up at gunpoint. I had been robbed. I had been, spent weekends in the Tenderloin with in dangerous houses in Oakland. I mean, I spent years, leading a double life. So
Hold on a minute. Hold on. You're telling me that you held up at gunpoint, meaning going to buy drugs held up.
yeah.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going from your nice little Bay Area where the entrepreneurs live. You're driving over to the bad side of town. You're
Yeah.
getting the drugs. You're getting held up, and you're driving back going, "What the fuck am I doing? Like, I got to stop doing this."
Yeah. I reached a point where my conscience saved me. I was tired of lying to people. I was tired of lying to my mom, to myself, most importantly. And I didn't feel good. I had no self-esteem. I had no self-worth anymore. I was resentful that I wasn't more successful in my career, even though I was very successful, but I had no sense of gratitude.
Right.
So I was working for Google, the number one company I always wanted to work for.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I was making tons of money. I'm 24 years old. I'm, a white single male in San Francisco, California.
Did you have any partners, girlfriends, or anything?
Yeah, I was
Partners?
dating a girl
Okay.
at this time. Yeah.
Was she a drug user?
No, she didn't even know what I was doing. It was
What?
all,
How'd you hide this, man? I don't even
I'm
know.
good at that. I'm good at that.
Did your dad ever call you and say, "Kevin, get your shit together"?
No, he didn't really know because I was across the country.
Wow.
He knew. I mean, he definitely knew though. Like he got very serious with me a couple times where he caught me with pills and stuff, and he like was really pissed and we weren't talking for a while, and he was screaming at me and stuff like that.
Really,
So,
really,
yeah.
really.
But it's hard. People don't really know how to handle that stuff. Like my uncle died from an overdose. My cousin died from an overdose. My grandma was an alcoholic. So, I knew it ran in the family, but I just didn't think it would affect me.
Okay.
But-
So you're detoxing at home by yourself. What did you call in? Did you tell Google like, "Hey, I'm going to miss work for a week"? Like, how'd you do that?
Yeah, I did. I took off for work. Yeah.
Wow.
And
that's
I
hardcore.
actually was I was about to get a back surgery at this time.
was
so-
that part of the okay? Now, was that part of the reason you were taking the drugs for the pain?
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I became fully addicted to it. But then, so everything was blamed on my back, and it was legitimate. I went to the doctor. They're like, "Yep, you have a herniated disc. You can't do this. You can't do that." I couldn't stand up. I couldn't sit down without being in excruciating pain. So yes, that's what led me to do, take all of these. But then I realized how amazing they were, and I was like, "Whoa, this is amazing. I have unlimited confidence. I'm happy. I'm carefree. All those things." But you have to sell your soul to the devil in order to do drugs like that. You lose yourself. It happens over and over again. But I was so hell-bent on making something of myself and paving my own way. Because when I was growing up, a lot of people were like, "Oh, you only got that job opportunity, or you only got into Georgetown because your dad's really successful."
Yes, I'm sure you heard that a lot. Yep.
So I hated that. I hated that so much. I can't even begin to tell you how much I hated that. So when you talk
That would
about,
it'd be like being Tom Brady's son or something like that. Would just suck to be that person.
it would just suck to be that person. Yeah. So that's why I love what I'm doing now,
I
because
see. Yeah.
my dad doesn't have any connection to this and didn't help in any way other than, supporting me, saying, you can do it. That's it.
How about that? Very good. So you go, all right. So you get clean.
Huh?
You get clean, you come out clean, didn't have to go through rehab. Then what'd you do?
Let's see. I quit
Is
Google
this when the Uber was the Uber thing before Google or after?
while I was at Google.
Oh, you were doing. Holy shit! You got to tell the listeners about this. You can give them the
Yeah.
short version. So you're telling me that this drug thing, and working for Google, and playing
Yeah, it was all
basketball,
happening at the
chasing
same
girls,
time.
doing the drug and doing the Uber. You're doing all this at the same time.
Same time, yeah. So the Uber trick was incredible. That actually saved me financially. So back in those days, they just introduced the give 20, get 20, refer a friend program. So if I gave you my Uber code, you would take your first ride and you would get $20 free. After you completed your first ride, I would get $20 free. So then what I did was I created a website that's actually still live today. It's called uberfreerides.wordpress.com. And the last edit I made on the website is 8 years ago. I just like keeping it up because it's hilarious and it's free. I don't even know how to take it down, honestly, today. It'll probably be up there forever. But I would drive ad traffic to it. So I built a Google Ads campaign. I bid on the keywords Uber free ride, Uber promo code, Uber free $20 off, etc. And then I'd spend like $10. Say I spent $10 in ads, I would make $100 in Uber credit.
Wow.
So I spent, $1,000 and I made, $10, $20, $30,000 in Uber ride credit. And then I was able to order my food with it. And because they were doing food delivery at the time, and I was able to ride in black Escalades everywhere, all throughout San Francisco for free.
All the time.
All the time. It was unlimited. It was literally unlimited.
Unlimited. Now the girls are following even closer. They're like, wait a minute, this guy.
Yeah, that was cool. Actually, I remember going on a date one day and this girl came to me and she's like, you didn't have to get like an Uber Black, like to impress me. And I was like, oh no, like it's this whole long story. She actually worked at Uber, so it was funny to tell her that. I was like, I actually didn't do that to try to impress you. I would have done this regardless. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
But all that was going on at the same time. But like all my friends who had problems with drugs, they literally were either in rehab and stayed in rehab and like were relapsing, trying to get sober, or they were dead. So I was like, I'm not going to give up my shot in San Francisco right now. I'm just going to do this on my own. I had that much willpower. Okay. And then I went to AA meetings. And once I got plugged into the AA community, that changed everything. And I just did what they said. I went to AA meetings every night, and slowly but surely I was able to get this problem under control.
How about that, man? That's pretty cool that you did that by yourself. You still go to the meetings?
Yeah, I have one tonight.
No shit. Good for you, my friend. I'd say, hey, I respect it. I respect it. I don't know how, man, if you told me right now that for the rest of my life I could never have another bourbon drink, I don't know. That would be hard for me.
Yeah, I get it, man. You can't think about it like that. That used to torment me. The rest of my life is like a concept I don't think about. I just think about
how do you do that? Just day to day? Yeah,
I tell myself I may use tomorrow, but let's revisit that tomorrow and see how I feel.
Okay.
And then tomorrow, hopefully never comes.
I see. Okay. Very well. I appreciate you sharing that story with everybody. Yeah. Very, very, very personal.
But that's
okay. Very good. How old are you now?
31.
Never got close to getting married at all? Never.
I did actually. I was, I almost got engaged last year. I was living with a girl that I loved, and we were dating for 4 years. We had a dog together, but ultimately it just didn't work out. It wasn't meant to be. So we separated November of last year. So I did get close, but it didn't feel right when it finally came to the end there.
You kind of know, right? Yeah. I get it. Well, the right one will come along, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay. So you Google, and then you go to work, or you walk us through. There's a couple of things that happened here with Open Door and stuff. Before Grow. Go for it.
Then I bounced around. I mean, it wasn't glamorous. I mean, I left Google voluntarily to go do a immersive boot camp in San Francisco, where at that time I was an expert in Google Ads, but I knew nothing about all the other channels. SEO, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, email marketing, conversion rate optimization. I didn't know any of that.
Okay.
So I went and I did this like program. It was 90 days immersive where you learn from all these different mentors. You take all these classes. This is right when the term growth marketing was invented, 2014.
Yeah. Yeah.
Head of growth person, none of that existed before. So
Direct to consumer. When did direct to consumer start? That was right
that
around
was
then
like
too, wasn't it?
2016, 2015.
Okay. Yeah. Right.
So,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
so that's I wanted to be a head of growth, and
All right.
I was doing sales at Google, so it wasn't exactly a direct fit. So then I had to go learn all this stuff. I went to 2 separate startups after that. Both of them failed.
Good experience, though. Good experience.
Yeah. One I was at for 90 days and they laid everyone off because they couldn't secure funding. The next one I was at for a year, but it pivoted and changed something completely different. And then I moved to Los Angeles on July 17th of 2017
For a job?
for a job at a company called Open Listings.
I see.
And that introduced me to the world of Los Angeles, which was, incredible. That's way more my alley, my speed with, kind of what it's like in Florida. You have a car, it's hot, there's a beach, just those 3 things I relate with pretty well. I can get acclimated. And that was a real estate technology company that went through Y Combinator. That was a big success. And it got sold to Opendoor, which was another real estate startup that is now public.
Did you get to be involved in any of that, any of the transaction, any of the negotiations? Did you have any equity? Were you high up enough to be involved in any of that to learn?
I was basically, great question. I was like right on the cusp. I was not involved in any of the negotiations.
Okay.
I had equity. And I still have equity in Opendoor now.
Beautiful. Excellent.
But I had no part in the decision-making or any of that. But I got very close with our CEO at Open Listings, and he kind of walked me through everything. And I knew one of the investors of Open Listings too, and he, helped me get that job. So he told me all about what it was like and things like that.
Okay. Now, during that time, good learning, all that, by the way, all those things you just told me, great experience, learning a shit ton through all of that. During that time, were you like, hey, this is cool, I'm glad I'm learning, but I'm going to start my own thing as soon as I have a chance?
Yeah, I knew that at that time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And then what happens? It turns into Opendoor. What happens next? With your career next year, go ahead.
Yeah. So then I started doing freelance SEO for a company called Ritual, which was a women's vitamin company. Now it's women's and men's. And
you were running that under your own little LLC brand or whatever.
Yeah.
Freelancer.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay. As a freelancer. Yeah.
All right.
And I was really good at it and I really enjoyed it. And Ritual was one of the most popular and still is one of the most popular D2C brands in the world. Everybody wants to be like them. They just have great branding, great, they got up to such a hot start. I'm
trying to visualize. Are you working from home? Like you're at your screen, you're in this dark, like basement, and you're like making them rank number 1 on Google. Is that I'm trying to visualize this.
Yeah, that's it. That's what was happening. Women's multivitamins, and I'm going into their office in Venice, and I was like, it was really cool. So around this time I met one of my best friends, who's now my co-founder, John Zacharias, and he's an SEO expert, had been doing it for years, fell into addiction himself. We met in AA.
Oh, that's how you met. Okay.
Yeah. And we both did the same thing, have the same passions. We were in similar life stages and we just, shoot for the moon. So it was a good pairing. And we decided we wanted to do this and give it a shot as an agency. And at that exact time, one of my close friends, a guy named Steve Weiss, had just sold a digital marketing agency for tons of money.
Oh, so yeah, you're talking to your friend, your co-founder. You're like, hey man, we can do this too.
Yeah, we should go do this. Yeah. I was like, Steve can counsel us on how to do this, and he's done that. And
maybe Steve can give us some cash to start.
Yeah, exactly. That ended up not happening, but he could have.
Okay. All right.
We didn't need any cash to start. It's fully bootstrapped.
What's your co-founder's name?
John.
Okay. And you guys fully bootstrapped it, just you and him.
Yeah, just he and I. We just, we had 10 clients between the 2 of us.
And that was it. Boom, go.
Yeah, we only hired when we had the money to hire. We didn't need any extra capital.
Okay, so let's pause right there for the listeners, for the aspiring entrepreneurs. You're doing freelance. You got a few clients. You're making a decent living. You're running it under a little LLC or whatever. You're not really trying to like start a brand at that point. You're just you're just paying the bills and you're having fun. You meet this guy at AA, you and him bond. He's got some clients. He's basically doing the same thing, but he's better at SEO at that time. Right.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yep.
All right. And then you're like, hey, let's join forces and start our own agency. We already have revenue. We have revenue right now. So when we create the company, we're already post revenue, right? You're in business, so to speak.
Yeah.
And there's no startup expense, really. Not really, right? Unless you, no. Okay.
No office. We had our own laptops. There was no, other than we needed a lawyer.
Need a lawyer to drop some paperwork.
Yeah, that's it.
And did you draw it up 51-49 or 50-50? What'd you do?
50-50.
Oh, okay. Oh man, what do you do? Will you flip a coin when you're fighting about something? What do you do?
We haven't had anything yet where we have been deadlocked.
What does the operating agreement say is going to happen when you do get deadlocked?
We picked a third party advisor and they make the decision.
Okay. That is a great tip for the listeners, especially the young aspiring entrepreneurs right there. Take a hold of that.
Yeah.
First of all, for anybody that listens to this show on a regular basis, personally, me, Steve, I'm not a big fan of 50-50. It's easier to do 51-49. But if you do 50-50, just make sure there is something in the operating agreement that triggers what will happen or who will decide if there's a deadlock. There's got to be something in there that says that. Great job of making sure that was in there. Really nice job. Has that happened? Have you had to use the advisor on anything yet?
No.
Okay, good for you guys.
But yeah, no. My advice to the entrepreneur is behave as if everything that could go wrong will. So 51-49, it would have been a great idea, but it wasn't the right thing to do at that time. We wouldn't have gotten where we are now. Resentments would have built up. It would have been
probably.
We wouldn't have made it this far. It would have already blown up. So that's in the future. I probably wouldn't get into any venture unless I have that set up, but I didn't have anything yet. This is all.
Did you guys, have you guys had any, you haven't told them to fuck off or anything? I'm sure you've had
a million times. We've had a million. I can't tell you how many. That's why when you talk about how to pick a co-founder, you absolutely have to know the person for multiple years before you do a business with them. There is no such thing in my mind as like, let's go to this meetup and try to find a co-founder. No, everyone seems great at the beginning. And then but you need to know who they are inside and out. You need to understand what they stand for. You're not just going to be talking about business. They're going to meet your family. You're going to meet their family.
I totally agree.
Countless dinners with them, vacations with them. You're going to want to spend time with this person. If you don't, there's nothing worse than a terrible business co-founder relationship where you hate each other. There's just nothing. Other than divorce, it's very comparable, I would imagine.
100% agree. And I will just go even further to say, I don't care if you go to a meetup or a conference and you're quote looking for a co-founder and you meet the smartest fucking guy on the planet that complements your skill sets. If you don't know that person and you don't know their family and you haven't been around them to really truly understand their personality and their habits and their behaviors and their religion and their politics and their whatever, right? Like if you guys don't match up and you can't get along and you can't tell each other to fuck off one day and then get up the next day and be okay, like that is just so important. And it's so critical.
Businesses don't just fail because the product doesn't work. They fail because the partnership doesn't work.
Most of the time they fail because of human beings, not because of the product.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that is, Scott and I've been together now for 6 years and, I trust, we've known each other for almost 18, but we've been in business together for 6. And man, I trust the guy with my life, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I would take my granddaughter over there to let him watch her for a month if I had to, you know what I mean? Like it has got to be that kind of relationship. So anyway, I didn't mean to go down a rabbit hole, but what you said there is just so important when you're picking co-founders. Please, if you're listening to this episode, don't just go to some random fucking conference and quote, look for a co-founder. That's not how it works. Anyway, I don't know how we went down that path. You guys bootstrapped. Okay. So you're moving along, you got some clients, and then I guess you just start getting more clients and eventually start hiring people, right? It just starts moving. It starts blowing up.
Just starts blowing up, and it's really just one thing at a time, and we put our head down. By the time I put my head back up, we're at where we are today. I mean, 100 employees, $25 million in revenue this year.
Sweet.
It's shocking.
Wow.
Hundreds
That's
of
so
clients. I mean, it's honestly just shocking. I don't know how it all happened.
Well, it happened because you kicked ass and worked hard. You telling me from 2020, so in 2 years you've gone from 0 to 25 million?
Yeah.
I mean, let's just let that breathe for a minute. Let me see. In 24 months, you and John took a business from 0 to 25 million, and from 2 employees, you and him, to 100 in 24 months.
That's right.
That is incredible. And you have not taken on cash?
No.
And no debt?
No debt.
No debt and no outside investors?
No.
What? Okay.
No. We have a group of advisors that we've chosen, but none of them put money in. Yeah.
Wow, buddy. Okay.
Yeah.
25 million in revenue, 100 employees, no debt, no investors, no outside cash, and you and him still own 50-50 right now on the cap table.
Yeah, we have a 20% employee pool, but yeah, 50-50.
That is phenomenal. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
That is really excellent. Wow. So what's happening for you now is you have people wanting to call and give you cash. You have investors trying to get in. They're chasing you now.
Yeah.
How are you handling those phone calls?
I like to take them and learn about what they're looking for, what they think they can offer, what questions they ask. It's part of my job as the CEO to be able to speak to these people and understand how to give them reporting that matters. What's our EBITDA? What's our growth rate? What's our projections for next month, next quarter, next year? So I use it as just an exercise, but we may look to sell like 20% of the company to just tighten up our corporate governance, like you had just talked about, and to grow uninhibited, we just hire. But
I mean,
we also may not.
Yeah, I mean, you're growing so fast right now. If you try to grow any faster, you might break something. I mean, maybe you just leave it alone,
Yeah.
I don't know why you would. You don't have to take on any cash. Now, if somebody wants to just buy you outright and give you and John a bunch of cash to ride off into the sunset, okay, let's have that meeting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
What do you contribute to I'm sure that you could write a book about it, but if you had to pick a couple of things to contribute to the fast growth, what would it be?
Well, we both spent like 10 years prior to starting Grow, building the skills necessary to start Grow and run it well. So like I was at Google, I was at Open Doors, these other companies, studying the CEO, understanding how they behave, getting to know them personally, really like emulating their behavior and understanding their background, where they come from. That's the same thing that John was doing. We had incredible networks where we've treated people well and done great work for people for years. So when we started the company, our first 20 clients, I was like, call people that I know and that work and are the decision maker for a startup. Hey, I'm starting a digital marketing agency and SEO. You guys need SEO. Will you hire me? Yep, sure. So that was very helpful. We built a referral partner network where I would sign you up and I'd say, Steve, I'll pay you 10% of the deal, the total deal value that you send to me, and I'll pay you monthly. So you send me a client as a referral, we can sign them up for $10,000 a month. I'll pay you $1,000 a month forever. And that's
as long as that client is active, that they say.
Yeah. But that's a very lucrative thing. I mean, we have 10 people where we pay their full mortgage. We pay them at least $10, $12, $15,000 a month personally. Yeah. So because we've basically we purchased their network.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And then the last thing is we treat people well. Our culture is unmatched. We genuinely do the right thing. We treat people well. We care about people beyond just being professionals. Like I know every single employee, all 100, their first name, I know them. I know everything about them. I've spoken with every single one of them.
Very good, my friend.
And I know them
good.
well. So there's very good. We have a legitimate relationship. They don't just work for some figurehead who's the CEO. They all know me. What's been
your darkest moment so far? Scariest moment in the company from a company perspective? I would guess the speed of the growth, just making sure the wheels don't fall off.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we can't hire fast enough. We have business coming in. I cannot.
That's why you're talking to me. We're recruiting from.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's very hard.
Yeah, it's very hard.
We have there's so many things you need to do legally that are very difficult to navigate. How do you fire someone properly? How do you hire them properly with the right documents and the right, this and that? And do you have the right sexual harassment, policy in your handbook? Do you have an employee handbook? There's a million you might run your company with the best of intentions, but if you don't hire the right counsel on the legal side to make sure that you are following the rules and you're always compliant, that's the scariest thing. You can face lawsuits, you can face this, that, misclassification of employees. That's the scariest thing, because I'm not a law expert. So making sure that we don't make those mistakes, that's the scariest thing.
Let's take a pause right there for the listeners. Once you and your co-founder get going, you're doing $200,000 a year. Okay, cool. Yeah. Hey, you start doing a few $1 million a year, you better make damn sure you have good counsel and you have your paperwork in order. You have an advisor on the HR side, and you have a really good tax accountant and fractional CFO.
Yes.
Surround yourself with those people.
Yeah.
Right away.
Yeah. You need the right insurances. What's EPL?
And the right insurance. Thank you.
What's wage and hour insurance? What insurance do you need if you have employees in different states? I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on and on.
I remember the last time we sat down with our insurance guy, and we're just a recruiting firm. We have about 30 recruiters involved, right? And 30 people on the team. And last time I met with my insurance guy, I said, look, his name's Scott too. I said, Scott, look, I want everything. Just everything. I just want everything.
Yeah. I know. I did that too. Yeah. I want every single thing.
I want everything.
Yeah. So you can't, the reason it's so critical is we're not venture backed. If you're not a venture backed company, you can't make those mistakes. And if you are a venture backed company, your investors are probably saying, all right, here's your tax accountant. Here's this, here's that. You don't have that luxury. You have to make calls to friends that have done this before and say, who do I use for accounting? Who do I use for my taxes? Who do I use for insurance? What type of insurance do I need? How much coverage do I need? I've had to make hundreds or thousands of those phone calls and just take it piece by piece by piece by piece, and I still do it today. We're applying for new insurances that I didn't know we needed. Luckily, nothing bad happened in the last year, but we were exposed to this or that, and I just try to plug up the holes.
It's interesting listening to you go through the progression of becoming a real CEO of a $25 million company, going from, hey, I know how to get you ranked high on Google to, holy shit, I'm the CEO of a 100 employee company, and I got to make sure all of our legal shit's in order. It's really a different job, right?
I mean, you are completely different job.
You're in a completely different job. What parts of being a CEO do you like the best now at the stage you're in? And what parts are you like, yeah, I wish I didn't have to deal with that?
I hate the legal stuff because I don't like dealing with it. It's not fun. It's too serious for me. I'm more of like a happy-go-lucky guy who likes to, ideate on new things. That legal can be too negative, especially if you're really involved with something that's scary or where there was some wrongdoing or something. I mean, it's too negative. That negative energy can spill over into your personal relationships, make you depressed. It's nasty. Some people in business are nasty. And so I hate being around that. But for me, I like to experience everything once. So I want to do all this stuff to see what it's like, I think later in life, I could be a venture capitalist. I could do a lot of different things, but I like to say I've been there and done that. And this is part of that. Even the stuff that's negative or difficult that I don't like doing, I get to say I've done, and it makes me more well-rounded, more, efficient with the things I want to do.
I see you edging into the investing world already. In fact, on your LinkedIn profile, you have the companies listed that you've invested in, some of them.
Yeah.
So is that where you see yourself going later on when you get to be my age? Is that what you're doing?
I'd love to. Yeah, I'd love to work with young entrepreneurs and do that. The question is just some people have massive venture firms and some people have really small boutique ones. I have to decide what my life is like at that point, because I'm a danger of working too much and I'm really trying to focus on having some work-life balance. And
what are you doing for that, my friend? Are you playing basketball? Are you in a couple of men's leagues? What are you doing to keep it balanced?
not anymore. I'm retired from basketball now. But I go to the gym a lot. I do hot yoga. I work out.
Do you?
Lift weights. Yeah, I do. Today at 5:00, I'm going to go get an IV, which I love doing because it's like they fill you up with tons of vitamins. And I do the cryotherapy machine, which is like, gets you super cold for 3 minutes and refreshes your whole body.
Okay, now I got to ask you about this IV thing because my wife and I passed a place like that today
All right.
at lunch. So I go by, we're going to this teriyaki place or whatever, and I saw it, and it's like IV, blah blah blah, and I'm like, what is that? And she's like, oh, you go in there and they fill you up with vitamin C and blah, and I'm like, huh? How does it work? Give me the scoop real quick.
They give you tons of different options of different IVs that you want, but the real thing is you go in, they do your blood work, and they say, all right, Steve, you're deficient in vitamin D, you're deficient in vitamin B. You need to get your levels up. So this custom IV is what you need twice a month. So like I go in there and like my liver was not functioning super well. And they're like, you need this thing called glutathione. And that's what I get in every IV now. And my liver is noticeably with data functioning better. So
how about that?
It's a better, the downside of entrepreneurship is stress.
Yes.
Stress can kill you. If you don't handle it properly, it can kill you. It can make you lose your hair. It can do a lot of things that are negative.
And it can make you be an addict, right?
It can make you be an addict. It can do innumerable things. It should not be underestimated for anyone listening. Totally. So you need to combat that. And for me, I've taken an interest in my own personal physical health, because let's say I made $100 million tomorrow, but I was injured or I was like out of shape and I couldn't walk around, or your physical health is worth just as much as how much money you have in your bank account, probably.
No doubt about it.
Honestly. So
do you feel better? Does it make you feel better? Like after you get the IV, do you feel better?
Yeah. You feel hydrated, you feel clearer, you feel a bunch of different stuff. But my thing is I just want to make sure I'm getting all the right vitamins. Like my dad now has something called Lewy body dementia.
I don't know. What is it?
It's like a mix between Parkinson's and regular dementia. And so I and his brothers, both of them have Parkinson's as well.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm trying to push that stuff out. If that runs in my family and that's in my blood or whatever, if you start giving yourself all the right vitamins and doing everything you can physically right now at age 31, that stuff either won't happen to you or it'll happen way later, or it'll be less bad. So I'm trying to start now. I mean, look at it. I got these vitamins right here. I mean, I used to hate taking that stuff, but I make sure I get everything I need now.
I'm going to go back to this place now. You got me. Yeah. Yes. You got me convinced because I saw it today. I'm like, I think I need
It's great, man. You'd be shocked. I mean, you'll go in there, they'll do your blood work. You'll be shocked at what you're missing.
Yeah. They'll be like, hey man, you're all fucked up. Yeah. That's what they're going to tell me.
And actually I went there and they said, hey, your testosterone's low.
Really? Okay.
Yeah,
so they got that. Can they do that? Can they fix that there?
Yeah. So for men, that's really important. Most people think of testosterone as just being related to sex drive, but no.
Yeah, no. It's so many other things.
It helps. If you have high testosterone, you sleep way better. Your metabolism was way better. Your moods are lifted. And of course the stuff that guys care about, your sex drive, that's way different too. But
critical.
It's critical. Yeah. But
I'm going to this place. I appreciate you telling me that. I'm going to go to this place.
I sing their praises all the time. The one I go to in Los Angeles is called Next Health, and they have it in a few other cities. It's fantastic. It's just, I cannot.
I'm going
highly enough about it.
Congratulations, my friend, on everything you guys have built. I mean, you've had an interesting life already, and you're still a pretty young guy.
Yeah.
You still got a lot to do. You'll be back on our podcast 2 or 3 more times with a bunch of more stories.
I hope so.
I appreciate you being on the show, Kevin. Thank you very much for sharing your story.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.